Right, so let's start this video off with a few clips of me jetting a blocked hospital drain. Right, so here we are, just reversing into site. It's in a bit of a tight car park, this one. Typically everyone was in the way. So I eventually managed to get in, and we'll see what we got.
If you like this video, give a thumbs up and make sure to hit subscribe at the end.
Okay, so the maintenance staff had already lifted up the manholes, and between this manhole and the next one, it's all full up. So all I can really do was jet between the two manholes, and hopefully that will clear it. Right, so I've got my jetter running on about 4,000 psi, and for some reason I can't seem to get this hose to go through. It's struggling. I'm suspecting there's something not quite right with this pipe, so we're going to put it back as a recommendation for a camera survey. As you can see, I eventually got it clear. I'll be honest, it's not running as fast as I'd hope it would. Right, so at this point, we realised there's about 8 manholes backed up further up the line. So it just kept running like this for an awfully long time. Right, so eventually all the water ran away and that was me done. So I'm now on my way home. As you can see, it's hammering it down with rain, but that's enough for one day. Right, so back to normal. We are on a 3-hour drive all the way to Malden, and it's 5 o'clock in the morning. Okay, so this job is some remedial work from a recent camera survey. So what we've got to do today is put in loads of patch liners. So first thing to do is lift the cover up. Right, so what we have to do is push this camera all the way down to where the problem is. In this case, there's a slight displaced joint that's causing a bit of issue. So what we're going to do now is we're going to put a little tape mark just on the camera rail with a bit of insulation tape, and that's going to tell us where the problem is. That's going to give us a nice accurate distance so we can mark it up against our line-in rods. Okay, so whilst I mix this resin up, now is probably a good time to say I totally forgot to film marking it out on the rods. So basically the black thing that I'm going to wrap the patch on in a minute is called a packer. So that joins onto the end of a load of drain rods that are called air rods, which is basically an air tube inside a rod. So you connect all those together, lie them out, lie your camera cable alongside the packer and the rods, and then where your tape mark is, you put the same tape mark on the rods. So when you push it down the pipe, you stop at exactly the same distance. So we'll just finish getting this resin mixed up and then we'll spread it onto the patch itself, which is fiberglass resin. So as you can see now, the resin has totally changed colour. You want to get it nice and even all the way across. So it's all nice and mixed up. And it's ready to go. Right, so we now got everything set up. We've got our plastic sheet on the floor just to protect the ground because you don't want to get resin anywhere because once resin's on somewhere, it's not coming off. So just cut the bag open and we're going to spread this all over the inside of our patch. So you always start shiny side up. So you want to cover it all over, not missing any bits at all. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm going to fold this piece across to the middle. And then, again, cover everything that's white on this side. Make sure the resin's absolutely soaked into it. And then I'm going to fold the other end in to meet in the middle. Okay, so now it's just a case of flip it over and then completely cover this side. Basically, you want to have that joint on the bottom side, so when you wrap it on the packer, that joint is then going to be pushed up against the pipe and not on the inside, if that makes sense. Right, so now it's time to grab our packer and we're going to lie this on top, nice and central in the middle. Just like this. And then we're going to roll the patch around the outside of it. As you can see, I've got some plastic on there. That just protects it from the resin sticking to it. So we're going to roll it around nice and tight. Just like this. That's got to go all the way around. Keep rolling. There we go, just smooth that edge off. Just so it's not going to catch as it goes down. And then we've got these little bits of wire. So we're going to put this wire around, just like so. And then just 2 half twists. And that's just going to stop it sliding off whilst we push it down the drain. So when you do patching, it's always good to wear 2 pairs of gloves. That means you can take off the top pair and you're not going to get covered in resin when you touch everything else. So we're now over at the drain. We're just going to connect our air rods on. They're just push fit with a little screw thread just to tighten them on, just to stop them popping back off. So make sure that's on there nice and tight. Perfect. So we're now going to push this. Just going to get it in there, try not to cover anything with resin. So yeah, we're going to push that all the way down till we get to our tape mark. I've also got a bit of rope on there just for the fact that when you pull it out, you can pull it back on the rope. It just stops you damaging the air fittings on the rods. Okay, so I ran out of rope, so I'm just attaching another length. And then I decided to put my foot in front of the camera. I'm not quite sure why, but we're going to keep going until we get to our tape mark. And when we get to the tape mark, we'll stop, and then we're going to pump this all the way up to 2 bar. Right, so we've left it for 2 hours. That resin must be nice and hard by now. So I've already let the air out. Again, I forgot to film it, sorry. So, and I also started pulling it out. So just got to pull the last section out. And there's our packer. As you can see, anything that comes down the drain, the packer stops it coming through and all the water just sits behind it. Essentially, whilst that packer's in there for 2 hours, that drain's blocked. So we'll just let all that sewage drain out of that. Definitely going to have to wash it off before I put it back in the van. Then just pull our plastic out. It's also full of sewage, brilliant. So just tip that out as well. Right, so that's our packer out. So what we've got to do now is we get our camera, we push our camera down there, and in theory we should have a good patch. The last thing you want is for a patch to go wrong, because there's lots of trouble to put it right again. Okay, so this is the start of our patch here. As you can see, it's stuck nicely. You can probably still make out the little dip here. That's the joint we were lining. And then this is just the end of our patch here. So it's nice and tidy, just how we want it. Right, so that's us done on this one. We've just got the 3-hour drive back to Bristol. And yeah, finally that site's finished. Hopefully I won't have to come up here again anytime soon.
Please like and subscribe.